Her voice is known worldwide. USA Today called her an operatic superstar of the 21st century.
Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. S'ouvre ta voix comme s'ouvrent les fleurs au baiser de l'aurore.
Denyce Graves is here, and Washington Full Circle starts right now. Wow. Welcome to Washington Full Circle. I'm Furman Patterson. She rocketed to fame in the 90s with critically acclaimed productions of Carmen and Samson and Delilah, performed to standing ovations in the world's greatest opera houses. But the diva from D.C. has never forgotten where her journey began, here in D.C. at the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. Denyce, thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate it so much.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's been a long time since we talked before.
I know.
Welcome back.
It's good to see you. Thank you so much. Happy to be back.
Now, you've been doing a lot of traveling. Most recently, I believe it was China?
We're in China, getting ready in 2 weeks for Japan, still performing quite a lot, also teaching some now at the Peabody Conservatory in Boston and in Baltimore. That's turned into a tremendous love that really surprised me, you know, and I can't believe how involved I am and how much mental space that, you know, occupies. Tonight is an opening of Così fan tutte, and I have two girls who have the leads in it, so I'm excited about that and excited for them. And it's been a real blessing, that part of my life that's really opened up. I mean, I enjoy my work as a performer. It enriches me and fulfills me in a way that like nothing else does, that's for sure. But it's also been surprising to me at how much I've fallen in love with teaching, and when you see that you're able to impart something and you see that moment that the light bulb goes off and they get it and you hear it reflecting back, because the study of the voice is a very unusual and particular thing because you can't see it, you know, you can't see it. And so we rely so much on sensation, and each person's anatomy is different. So basically you have a unique and different instrument that walks through the door with each person, and you've got to find out the key to unlock their understanding. And so that part has been really, really interesting.
We definitely want to talk about that some more later in the show, because we have a clip. We actually went out to see you teaching.
With my girls.
But first of all, that's where you started, in school at the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. But what led you to opera? Was there one day you woke up and said, I think I can sing?
Oh, well, it didn't happen exactly that way. I was singing. I was always singing. I come from a family that loves to sing. And so my family had a singing group. And it was my brother, in fact, who was sort of the lead of our little family singing group and who did all the solos. And my brother, who has a gorgeous voice.
Really?
A gorgeous speaking voice and a very resonant voice, really present, really beautiful. I mean, he could have made a career. He could have made a career had he the interest. But
did the group have a name? Did the family?
The Inspirational Children of God. We were the Inspirational Children of God, and we used to go around to churches and sing gospel music. And one Sunday, my brother wasn't well, and my mother said, "Well, you know, you have to sing the solo." And I said, What? I can't do that. You know what? I mean, I was the one out of, I have a brother and a sister, and I was always the one who was the shyest, the most socially awkward.
You?
The one, everybody says that, but it's true. It's true. Terribly uncomfortable in the public, the one not at all likely to find herself on, you know, the operatic stage or any stage for that matter. And it, you know, that day she gave birth to something, you know, it gave birth to something. And so I had a wonderful music teacher who encouraged me along the way to continue my love and development of music. And I found myself then later at the Duke Ellington School here in Washington, and that was wonderful, and that opened up a whole new world for me, and I felt like I found my place.
And you heard an opera singer at the time?
I heard an opera singer, that wonderful opera singer who's now in our vicinity now, was the great Leontine Price.
Yes.
And I heard her sing, a girlfriend found a recording, and I said, oh, you know, what is this? And who is this? And here was this woman who was like a queen and so beautiful and majestic, singing this music, which I'd never heard of before. Absolutely heartbreakingly exquisite, you know, just break you in half kind of sounds. And I just thought, I don't know what this is, but whatever this is, that's what I want to do. And it's because of hearing Leontine Price that I said, that's what I want to do.
Right. So then you started to train.
I was already
classically.
I had already begun in earnest, but after hearing that, you know, I was much more. I really felt in that moment that I'd found my purpose,
Yes.
and the reason that I was one of the reasons that I was put here on the earth, and I said, this is what I want to. This is what I want to do, and I really set out to develop a career. I mean, I was in high school at the time, but to begin to develop my voice and really study in earnest and set myself on this path.
Yeah, terrific. We're going to talk a lot more. Don't go away. More with one of the world's most exciting vocal stars and DC native, Denyce Graves, when Washington Full Circle returns. And welcome back to Washington Full Circle. Our special guest today is international opera superstar and Washington native Denyce Graves. Now let's go back to the big debut. I believe it was in Carmen, which people still talk about to this day, described as probably one of the most amazing things ever. What was that like, that debut when you finally...
You mean the debut at the Metropolitan Opera?
Yes.
Is that the debut we're speaking about?
Yes.
Well, I remember it. I remember it very well. And I remember that I had a prayer that night, and I said, God, I just want to be present. I want to stay present. I want to just be right here and feel this and you know, be present to this moment. And there were lots of people. My mother had organized a bus trip from Washington. There were 250 people from Washington. And you could tell, you know, after I'd sung the habanera, somebody go, go girl, go girl, you know. I thought, oh, they're here, you know, they're here. So it was just tremendous. I think that for any young aspiring opera singer, you know, they say if the Met sneezes, then the other opera houses catches the cold. So this is sort of, you know, the utopia for all opera singers. Is house, is to sing in that house, is to have achieved quite something, and you know, to have arrived. So it was a big moment for me, and I enjoyed, you know, I was there for 10 years consecutively, and I've enjoyed that very, very much. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful time for me. But life is rich, and it always continues to be exciting, and new things are unfolding all the time. So it's all been an amazing blessing, filled, incredible roller coaster ride that's shown me a lot about who I am, and it's taught me a lot, So I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be doing something that I love and I still feel incredibly drawn to and passionate about. I'm incredibly grateful to be able to share that in a different way with some of my students that I love so much. And as I was saying earlier, it's been I've always been so sort of very myopic and very concerned with my own work, and pursuing classical music is a pursuit which you have to really be attached to the process, and it's a pursuit of perfection. So you're always learning and you're always discovering, and you always reach new plateaus. And so I'd always been so concerned with my own work and my own growth that I didn't know that I could be so excited about other people's singing. But I get a different type of pleasure from watching my own students grow, and having them also teach me and learn so much from them. So that's been a great pleasure also to something that I never thought that I would be teaching voice.
Wow.
So and I'm still very, very busy with my own work. I'm back here next season with Washington Opera.
Fantastic.
So that's great. We're doing a new work by Terence Blanchard, I don't know if the film composer, but the jazz trumpeter.
Yes.
He wrote an opera called Champion about the life of the welterweight boxer Emil Griffith.
Right.
So I'm here next season with Washington Opera. In fact, 17 is a very, very busy year. I go the entire year. And this summer I'm at Santa Fe Opera for the entire summer. And
when do you get to rest?
I don't. I don't. But I know that that's important, and it is important to me too. It's important to restore and recharge and to miss it some. And to be really hungry and anxious to get back and tie myself to the piano and continue to stretch my voice and to learn more things about my voice. So all of that I really enjoy. It's a great, great pleasure for me. But there's not a whole lot of rest on the horizon, as it looks like.
Let's talk about someone else, another opera great that you have a connection to, the great Marian Anderson.
Oh.
I read somewhere that she even gave you a garment.
That's
Tell us
true.
about
That's
that.
true. I had the great honor some years ago. I won the Marian Anderson Award, and I got to travel to her home in Danbury, Connecticut, and sit down with her and chit chat about life and the business. In fact, well, she wasn't so interested in talking about music. She wanted to really talk about life. But on one of those visits, and I visited her several times at her home, she gave me a Karinska gown, one of her gowns that had her name, on the inside of it, a beautiful satin gown that I wore for the reenactment of her performance on the steps of the yeah. In fact, the Washington Post covered it. It was a front page, and
Everybody was talking about it.
Yeah, that was her gown. That was her gown, and that was wonderful. And since that time, I've donated it to the Smithsonian Museum.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's there.
Yeah.
So, but that was tremendous for me. I remember when I was in the 4th grade at W.B. Patterson Elementary School in Miss Hamer's class, learning about,
remember the name.
I remember everything. And I remember learning about Marian Anderson at the time, which was Black History Week, not month yet. And I remember learning about Marian Anderson, and I didn't really know very much about, she sort of became the poster child in the face of the civil rights movement because of the whole protests that happened with the Daughters of the American Revolution,
Right.
Constitution Hall scandal. And I remember as I started getting, later on as I started becoming involved in opera, I thought, that was the woman that we learned about that one week. And when I met her, I thought, my goodness, I felt as if I had sort of stepped into the history books. I remember reading and learning about her when I was in the 4th grade, and here I am.
History
I'm
comes to
sitting
life, yeah.
next to her. It was like walking into a painting or something, that all of a sudden it came to life, and I thought, how can that be? I'm sitting next to this woman, chatting with her, talking about singing and talking about life. And at that time, she was involving herself with children at the Salvation Army, and she felt very passionate about that. And she was telling me some funny stories with the children.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
it was a great fortune.
Stay with us. More with one of the world's most celebrated opera divas, Denyce Graves, when Washington Full Circle returns. Don't go away.
Talking to your colleagues about that this week, because somebody brought to my attention, you know, we talk a lot about support, and it may not be clear to everybody, and there's so many different ways to do this.
And welcome back to Washington Full Circle. Although she performs on stages all over the world, as opera diva, Denyce Graves still finds time to share her love and passion for opera with a new generation of talent.
Support. That's always my wish, is that you have the time of your life and enjoy making music, you know, and I thought you just did a beautiful job. It was wonderful.
Wow. So it's obvious to see you're not just teaching them technique, you're teaching them something else. You're teaching them about life and love, it seems.
I believe that it goes far beyond the voice. It's really life lessons. I mean, really, that's what it is. With the backdrop being vocal technique and expression, and because you learn so much about it. What it is that we do is so intimate. It's unlike anything else, and because the person themselves are the instrument, and they come through the door with a whole frame of reference that we have to get to uncover, and they themselves meet themselves in this process and get to learn about who it is that they are. But it's also about the language of expression and finding a way to communicate something that is so sometimes very, very difficult to communicate, and having to uncover that in yourself. And I'm happy to also be in a position where I'm still performing, and I'm very, very close to what it is that they experience. I know what it is that they go through. I understand very, very well all of their anxieties and their fears and the insecurities.
So you see yourself in them.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I want so much to protect them and to prevent them from some of the, you know, like any parent does, to prevent them from some of the pitfalls that exist. But they have to fail too. They have to. That's how you learn, and that's how you succeed. So that's part of the process too.
So this is a Peabody Observatory.
Peabody Conservatory in Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
Yeah.
Now, how many students do you teach at one time?
Well, I have a small studio because of my own career. But I have 7, and that's a lot. That's a heck of a lot, because if you think that each one has their own things going on all the time, they're getting ready for auditions and competitions and recitals, and they're in the opera. Tonight, I have another gal who's singing the lead in Così fan tutte, and you're always writing letters of recommendation, and you've always got to, you know, so you always have to be present for them, and they call all the time, you know, in the middle of the night, and they're texting me, and they're worried, or they broke up with their boyfriend, or something like that happens, and it all happens all the time. And there's no way to disconnect from that part of the work, because first of all, I love them so much, but also because that's also who they are. And everything that's happening, we need all of that. all of that material is going to serve us
Yeah.
for what it is that they do in their lives. So
They
it's
need
all
real
good.
life
It's all
passion and
good.
stories.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
necessary.
Has anything changed over the years in technique or the approach to what you do?
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting question. For me, yes, because as I have grown and the voice has grown and matured, some things that used to work don't work anymore. And I have found that I have to rely much more on my body now. I have to really, I always have to, and all singers have to, because you know, we're not aided by microphones, and we have to project an incredible amount of sound. And so you really have to be in touch with what's going on with your body and learn how to use your body and how to lean against the strength of your body to produce the kind of, you know, sounds that we have to. So I have found that I have to work much harder connecting with my body and to make sure that the sound is really locked and connected
That's
to
what I always found interesting, is that in theater and plays, everyone's microphone, there's a microphone on them, but opera singers, a lot, it's just the sheer
It's pure.
power of the voice.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
it's the art of beautiful singing, of uninterrupted, nothing, no enhancement, no kind of exciters, but really using all these fantastic resonating cavities to have the voice speak and be present and carry across a 70-piece orchestra into the back of a 3,000-seat theater, you know, and that's
Amazing.
what it's all about.
Now, what I find interesting too is the crossover. I've heard you doing contemporary songs,
Yeah.
Sunshine on My Shoulder,
Yeah,
and
right.
Christmas songs. What are some of your favorite genres other than opera?
Well, I think that if you came in my car now, you know, you'd be surprised. I really, there's a real broad range in terms of genres, and I really do appreciate everything, with probably the exception of, you know, heavy metal or something like that. And I learn something from all of them all the time. So I like I love gospel music. I love R&B. I listen to it all the time. You know, I like folk music. I like country music.
Who are
And-
some of your favorite artists right now?
Well, probably they're going to sound old-fashioned now, and also because I have children too. So I hear a lot of the up-and-coming, you know, artists. So in our house right now, you know, Taylor Swift and who was the gal, Carrie Underwood. That's huge in our house. But also, my husband's a huge Taylor Swift fan, and so there's a lot of that playing in the house. But I play a lot of classical music in the house, and I'm rehearsing and practicing a lot. You know. I have a limit. They allow me a certain amount of time to do that, and then they say, "Mom, you know, you got to stop all that." So, but I enjoy it. You know, I love Anita Baker. I love Toni Braxton. You know, Yolanda Adams. I love all those. I guess I really like the voices, the kind of the mezzo-soprano voices that are really smoky and sensual sounds,
Yeah.
full-bodied sounds. So
Amazing.
I'm moved by that.
Terrific. Well, promise me one thing, that you'll come back and you'll sing for us next time.
It's a deal. It's such a deal.
Always a pleasure to see you.
I
Thanks
loved
so
it.
much.
I loved it. Thank you for me.
That's it for Washington Full Circle. Thanks to our guests, and thank to you for watching. We'll see you again next time.